Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Please remain with me for the next 10 to 15 minutes as I highlight the latest news events and provide commentary for February 9th, 2026 regarding local, regional, and international security, political updates, issues, topics. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. Minister of Works and Infrastructure, Julian John, has confirmed that 375 potholes have been patched in the space of 1 week. Now, usually I don't hear about that under the PNM. It's just I still have an issue with just patching potholes. Through the launch of the National Spot Patching Program, we actually have a patching program now, the minister said that 5,000 defects have been identified nationwide. I don't think I'll identify all yet. Nah? Probably have 5,000 times 5 or even 10. My response, the PNM refused to even patch our roadways for the past 10 years. So I'm still giving credit when credit is due, people. Except for selective areas during election campaigns. Everybody knows that. So this is still better than nothing at all. Having said that, I hope this patching policy doesn't become the new trend of the Kamla Prasad administration, because this type of road repair doesn't last long. Everybody knows that. And will end up being a waste of taxpayers' dollars in the long run. Make sure that this is just something temporary and that you're going to pave the roads properly later on. Our roads need to be paved properly, and hopefully once the economy begins to recover after Petrotrin is reopened, hopefully this year, that's the type of positive reports we'll be reading online. And of course, once that starts, I'll be sharing it with all of you. A summary of what Kaya Joshua Samaru's wife said about the tragic incident. In a statement, Seeley spoke of running errands before going to a school pickup. So it looks as though they were actually going to pick up the child. Thankfully, they didn't. Otherwise, the child would have been probably deceased as well. However, prior to that, Samaru told her he needed to make a quick stop in Maloney. Biggest mistake he has ever made in his life. He did not give a reason for the stop. According to Seeley, while she was busy on the phone, Samaru met a man in Maloney and they chatted. Samaru told the young man, "Don't bother," and began reversing his vehicle. It was then she noticed a marked police vehicle moving in front of their car. She said a police officer came out of the vehicle and pointed his firearm at the car as Samaru continued to reverse. They were momentarily chased by the marked police vehicle before they lost sight of the vehicle. He continued driving and kept saying words to the effect of, it's okay, don't worry." She said, "I recall that the inside of the vehicle was very quiet. No music was playing, and I could hear the air conditioner running. I do not recall hearing any sirens though." So it seems as though it wasn't an official chase, because usually when it's an official chase, you would hear the sirens. Shortly thereafter, police vehicles were again in the close pursuit of our car as they drove through the area. While turning onto a back street, the vehicle skidded and collided with a galvanized fence. Upon impact, Kaya began to scream. Joshua said words to the effect of, okay, as though he had given up. And he lowered the driver's side window and put both of his hands outside the window. We all saw it in the video. At that point, police officers began firing into the vehicle, even though they saw that he had surrendered. My response, from the very beginning, I've said that there must have been a reason why police officers were pursuing Joshua. Police officers, as much as they are committing a lot of crimes, they wouldn't just target someone unless they either have a personal issue with them or because you're actually involved in something that is wrong. You see, people, I am very fair, And I'm not justifying what the police officers did here. I'm just saying, in generally speaking, you do not see police officers just going behind people just so and targeting them. It must have a reason. But, so from the very beginning, I've said that there must be a reason why police officers were pursuing Joshua. But people, and there's where it's important that people don't go and take my statement out of context. But that does not change the fact that they killed a man who was unarmed and had surrendered to them. I don't care what was his circumstances before. What type of evidence Roger Alexander and his merry men intend to present to the population? It still does not change the final incident that took place there. I went on to say, who was the guy Joshua Samru had a conversation with, and why did he enter the police vehicle before the chase began? I would like the police officers that want to give all this evidence and only during the court case, they don't want to present it to the media now. Why did this individual go into the police vehicle? I hope the saints out there learn a lesson from this tragedy. Sometimes just affiliating yourself with the wrong people can result in you losing your life. We may never know for sure what was Joshua's reason for meeting with the guy who is most likely an officer. People don't just jump into a police vehicle just so. Or why he said, don't bother. What was the deal? What was the discussion? Sadly, the wife appears to either don't want to say what it was, or she really wasn't listening. A lot of times people do that. You're on the phone, you're busy on your phone, and you're hearing the discussion from afar, you know, but you're not taking it on because you're busy doing what you are. Especially nowadays, people are lost in their phones. So I said we may never know for sure what was Joshua's reason for meeting with the guy who is most likely an officer, or why he said don't bother. But this decision resulted in his death, people. Sadly. If Roger Alexander and Guevara really cared about serving we the people, because we are their employers, but they don't think about it that way. So if Roger Alexander and Guevara really cared about serving we the people, they wouldn't be attempting to make excuses for these officers' actions. You don't have the right to kill anyone who is unarmed and have surrendered with their hands in the air. It doesn't matter, as I said before, people. Doesn't matter what were the circumstances. It doesn't matter what was the discussion he had with that individual. The fact remains, a man surrendered and yet was still killed. Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander says he does not agree. Listen to this one. He does not agree with the Police Complaints Authority having the legislative authority to discipline police officers. Kamala is silent about this. The minister told the media that police should be trusted as the primary investigators of an officer's misconduct, not an independent body. So many years now, we have had the Police Complaints Authority, and all of a sudden, he has an issue with it. Probably he always had. But remember, he's in a position of power now. And it seems as though he wants to abuse that power. My response, this is yet another inappropriate public statement being made by Roger Alexander. And yet the entire UNC camp is silent. All my friends online are silent. Can you imagine if a minister of national security made that statement when PNM was in office? Everyone would have been posting whole day online about dictatorship, about a galloping dictatorship. Now all the UNC people are silent. The activists, of course. Not the people on the ground. You know, a lot of people on the ground who are UNC supporters don't like what's going on. You really expect the TTPS to conduct a thorough, independent, and impartial investigation when police officers have committed various crimes, including extrajudicial killings? You want them to investigate themselves? When is Prime Minister Kamala going to tell this man, Roger Alexander, enough is enough? Why are you giving him so much a blight, Prime Minister Kamala? Huh? You scolded Philip Edward Alexander the minute he crossed the line. This man has been crossing the line over and over again, and yet, for some reason, he continued to remain silent. President Dr. Irfan Ali, in a clear message to residents of Linden, Region 10, Upper Demerara, Upper Berbice, emphasized that the People's Progressive Party Civic has earned the love, respect, and support of the people after consistently delivering on its commitments throughout the years. That's how you gain the trust of the people. That's how you end up having an overwhelming vote in your favor, by gaining the trust. And that's what people have for Irfan Ali in Guyana, unlike here in Trinidad. He served the people well for the past 5 years, and that's why they gave him a second term. Unlike UNC, who is going to which is most likely going to lose in 2030. In yet another demonstration of its commitment to the people of Region 10, the government on Saturday evening commissioned the modern Bay Rock National Stadium, which opens up new opportunities for the region's youths and residents. And when you invest in the youths, number one, they are the future leaders. And number two, keeps them out of trouble. They focus on getting involved in positive activities instead of joining gangs and so forth. In classrooms across Western Jamaica, empty desks still tell the unfinished story of a hurricane whose most lasting damage may not be measured in roofs lost, but in children still unable to find their way back to school. Principals, guidance counselors, and social workers have been crisscrossing communities, dialing dead phone numbers because the line's down, knocking on doors and fouling rumors of families who may have moved on a mission to find students who vanished from classrooms after Hurricane Melissa tore across the island last October, uprooting homes, livelihoods, and in many cases, children's connection to school. This is why it is so important for the entire Caribbean community to come together and assist Jamaica in their time of need. And then the first world nations, instead of focusing on spending even more billions of dollars in Gaza, you can help us a little bit in the Caribbean as well. And don't lend money to Jamaica. Donate a few millions. It's not going to hurt you. You spend billions of dollars, as I said, in the Middle East. You don't ask for a cent back. International news now, the elections in Japan. Japan's National Broadcasting Authority estimates that the coalition of Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi will succeed in obtaining a 2/3 majority in parliament, 310 seats, something that will allow her to carry out a constitutional reform, since this is a majority that can veto decisions of the upper house in Japan, where the opposition still holds a majority. This sounds, I don't know much more about Japan's politics, but I think this individual is a conservative. So let's see where things go. Usually conservatives tend to govern in a much better, a more fair-minded, a much more logical way, an effective way than the radical left. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham says, as to any deal between Iran and U.S., I hope it can meet our national security objectives and the needs of the people of Iran through diplomacy. Given Iran's behavior regarding deals, it could be a tough sell. However, I'm open-minded, understanding any agreement with the Islamic Republic and the United States must come to Congress for review and a vote. I think he's telling Trump plainly, don't go and make any kind of deal that we are not going to approve. Don't go back on your own word, because Trump made it clear in the past that the Iranians should not be able to produce uranium and enrich uranium. Ahead of the Trump-Netanyahu meeting, Israel's position on Iran is very clear as well. Number one, complete dismantling of Iran's nuclear program. Zero, as I said before, this is what Trump agreed with in the past as well. Zero uranium enrichment. No enrichment capability at all. Removal of all enriched material from Iran. Limitation of Iranian missile range to 300 kilometers. Dismantling of the Shiite axis. Strict, effective, and verifiable oversights. Those are fair requirements. And hopefully, this is something that Trump and his buddy Witkoff will make clear to the Ayatollah regime. Closing off now with the interesting facts segment, a touching moment from China is reminding people in the USA and the rest of the world that kindness still shows up in everyday life. When a truck spilled hundreds of beverage crates across a broad, busy road, strangers didn't rush to take advantage. Instead, drivers and pedestrians stopped to help. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, we'll pick up and go. Together, they lifted, stacked, and reloaded the crates so the shaken driver could continue his trip. No one tried to steal a thing. What could have turned into chaos became a scene of teamwork and honesty. Stories like this prove that community spirit can turn accidents into moments of shared community. Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.